All right, everybody. Here we are, live in effect. I was gonna do like the whole like long intro thing, but I don't have time for that today. I just want to jump right in. I don't want to make you wait. Plus, me and this dude right here were talking, and we were having such a good time that I didn't even think to go, oh my God, it's 3 minutes before I got to start the timer. So forget all the timers, forget all the interludes. We'll add that in the after effects. I am so excited, y'all. It's your boy, Kenneth Scott, blading on the brain, doing something I've talked about for a while with this man right here. Like, getting together, reviewing some skates, talking about our gearhead knowledge, throwing it back and forth, but just having the vibe. I watch his show. You should all be watching Back to Blading, like for real. If you're a new skater, if you're an old skater, if you're a gearhead like me, his live gearhead shows make it so like complete. I was telling him I watch him in bite-sized chunks so that I can like officially get all the knowledge and let it sink in. So I had to invite my boy over, but there's also like an added surprise that I haven't told anybody about, and it's a plan that we've had for a little bit, and we're on like only phase one of it. But before the end of this show, I'm going to ask you a very clear question, which is, what's the next skate that I'm going to skate, Lawrence? So before I even get there, before I do all of that, it's your boy, Kenneth Scott, Blading on the Brain, with Back to Blading, Lawrence Ingram, owner of 50/50, Compass. Throw it all out there because your boy does amazing work in the skate industry. So pleased to have you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man.
Let's do this. What's up?
It's great to be here. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's been a while. We've been, again, I think we were talking before the show, but we've been chatting for years and finally saw each other in Detroit at Bitter Cold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the first time, and it was like, oh, you're just a normal person. Like, you exist, you know, because you don't see each other. You see each other on YouTube. You chat, but it's like to actually see each other in person is really great. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's been a while since we've talked, so
and like
I'm ready to get into it.
We're lucky that we have Slack to Blade. That's been a really amazing space. I'm low key lightweight ghost on it right now, but
it is. It's a so the Slack. You know, a lot of us at work we use chat. You know, we're using Teams now, but when we started the Slack channel, it was using Slack at my work, my normal job, and it's just a good place to connect with people who, you know, they have that common connection. We all rollerblade, and there's a lot more to us, but you know, we've got that intro. So if something happens, there's no lack of conversation. You know, a new Them Skate release drops, the Slack blows up and everybody's talking about, oh, this is the best, or this is the worst, or I can't believe the price, or this collab is great, or whatever. But it brings us together and it starts these conversations because we have this common connection. And then we get to learn about, oh, this guy's an amazing artist, or this guy makes music, or, you know, we're struggling with job security or going through relationships. And it's like, it's just a really amazing place that we can kind of be ourselves. You know, you don't have to put on a front like you do at work or maybe in your community. This is where you can just kind of relax and, you know, talk about rollerblading, but anything else that's on your mind. So yeah, it's great having you on there. I wish you'd pay us a visit more often.
Yeah, totally true. Like during the pandemic, it was such a beautiful place for me to hold community, knowing that I, like you, were very strict with my interactions during the pandemic, right? Kids, all the things, but really like trying to be insular, but also enjoy community. And this idea of skating as a community act was almost impossible. And it was the Slack to Blade challenge, like the weekly challenge, that I was like, okay, this is where I'm at. Like, y'all are going to do some weird tricks that I've never tried before. All I have is a hill and a P-rail. I think I think I can get this done. And so that was such a beautiful space for me to interact and feel just like a new community, a new flow, and something different in my own skating, right? Yeah. Like I never knew what a wizard slide was. I was like, I got to try a wizard slide. Okay, let's go to many YouTube video tutorials first before I tear both ACLs at the same time.
Yeah, thankfully we didn't have any injuries, but it was a great time. You know, the community, it's so different, and COVID was a really good time to compare how it kind of is nowadays. But, you know, when we started skating, we go Friday night skate, San Francisco. We'd hang out in the Embarcadero, and it was hundreds of rollerbladers. And I kid you not, there were 100 rollerbladers. And now you're lucky to see a dozen rollerbladers at any event that you go, any spot that you go to. Those big events like Woodward, what year is it, or Blading Cup, or Bitter Cold, or Winter Clash, those are the times that everybody gets together. But most of us, we kind of skate by ourselves throughout the week. So that challenge was like, again, everybody doing the same thing, everybody doing the same trick at the same time. We're all kind of in this same session, but we're not really in the same session. So it was a really, really great time. Yeah. Glad to have you part of it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely shout outs to everyone. Shout outs to the owner setting it up. But like, I need to get my game on. I need to get back in. I was telling you right now, I got some more time on my hands, so I think I'll have some more interactions on Slack. But that's why we're friends. I mean, like, honestly, this is the vibe, y'all. Like, this is why we are friends. We have these conversations. Lawrence is from where I live. I'm from way over on the East Coast, but like, we have connections, people connections, and just this love for skating. But what I truly, truly enjoy is reviewing skates. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I really like reviewing skates, and I'm different than a lot of reviewers. A lot of reviewers jump in, and you tell me what you think about this. They jump in right away and they throw a review out. I'm down with the first impressions video. I love a good first impressions. But then I need you to come back with more salient, like, advice on this skate. I need you to have broke it in, like, really loved on it. And, like, I know you do that. Yeah. So I definitely wanted to invite you because I know you have both sides of it. You go back, like I did. You go back for, like, another round with the skate.
Yeah. I've done probably 30 skate reviews, I think. And it's a process that, thanks. I mean, the bank account doesn't agree, but like you, I know it's something that I'm just passionate about. You know, I've always loved the gear side of things. And it wasn't until I came back in 2018, 2017, that I started thinking about how much the gear matters. You know, a lot of people will say that, oh, a skate is a skate because they can see, you know, Joe Atkinson doing whatever with Solomon's, and they can see Alex Broskow, you know, with, you know, the same setup for, you know, 30 years, and he's fine. That's the exception. Like, for those of us who aren't great skaters, we need all the help we can get. And I feel like I'm good enough at the skating to tell the difference between skates. And it really dawned on me after the first few reviews that the skate makes a huge difference to the tricks that I'm able to pull off at my ability level. Perfect example is I was learning Royales, and I'm not a great skater again. I was learning Royales, and I got them pretty locked in. I had wish frames, and I had the Razor's Shift skate. So I was skating, and I learned Royales, and I was skating that setup for months. And then I got a pair of Rollerblade New Jacks. And I was skating the New Jacks with the wish frames. I think that was the setup. And I could not Royale to save my life. I kept washing out over and over and over, and I just couldn't figure out why. And that's when it dawned on me, wait a second, the groove of the wish frame is really high because, you know, it's a maximum 72, right? And the groove in the Royale angle for the New Jack is really deep. So that means it's closer to your foot. So you have to get much lower in order to get boot down on a Royale versus what I was learning on, which was the Razor's Shift, which was a wider sole plate and a squishier boot. So I didn't have to bend my knees as much. I could just kind of push my foot down and get that Royale groove. That was the light bulb moment for me, where it was like, oh, the angles of this stuff actually make a difference to my skating. Now, obviously, a lot of great skaters can go out there and do Royales on, you know, Majestic 12s with wish frames. I'm not saying that it's an impossible feat, but for some of us, 46, 47 next month, like, I need all the help I can get. So getting the gear dialed in to fit the way that I skate, I mean, that's always been that holy grail. And that's why the first impression is important. You can say what it feels like, but then it's like, okay, how do I dial this in so that I can make it better for me? Because no skate is perfect out of the box, but it might be perfect if you can figure out how to make it work for you.
That's so true. And I love that you use the Royale as the gauge for like your your light bulb moment, because for me, Royale is my gauge. That's my safety trick. That's my baby. That's like, if I'm gonna just walk up to something, I want to nicely Royale it. I want to feel good about it, and I can tell you, and we'll talk about it with this skate right here. That, you know, I mean, this one has some angles. There's some angles on here, and so, and when you notice it, you're like, oh, okay. I gotta change up my whole. I mean, adapt was that for me as well. Like getting to be able to do a Royale and a stealth was. I mean, I think that took me like 3 sessions to really figure out how to completely get sideways in order to do it. So let's just jump into this beast right here. I loved your review. If you haven't peeped Lawrence's review, I bet I can put a card up here somewhere so you can check it out. But what I loved about your review was the start with the history of the boot, and then letting us all to get to a place where we could understand the universality of this boot. Like, this boot is not just designed for one form of skating. This is designed to be like an ultimate boot, like an all-encompassing universal boot. And so I think knowing and having that knowledge in my back pocket as I thought about reviewing this skate, it changed my opinion a little bit, right? It changed my review a little bit, but I thought your review really highlighted something that most people don't know or don't take into account with the skate is, all right, I may like it for one aspect and not like it for the other, right? This boot is not trash because I don't love it, and it may be good for something else.
It may be good for something else. It was an interesting boot. So it started as the Rollerblade Fusion, which was probably back in the mid to late 2000s. And I don't know if that Fusion started before I don't know what the first one is, Tribe, whatever. They changed the name and it's just different colors. It ended up as the Rollerblade Solo. And I don't know if the Fusion was a mix between aggressive and recreational.
Thus the name.
The goal was, let's make one boot that could work for everything. The funny thing is, it didn't work very well as a big wheel boot. You'll find, so from my experience, the first flat boot was the Salomon ST9. Was that the first one? ST8, ST9? I guess the Aaron Feinberg was the first real
UFS flat one. Yep.
But yeah, the ST8, ST9 kind of led that way with, it wasn't UFS, but it had that flat boot. And this is a flat boot, so that bottom of the shell is completely flat. And the way that they get your natural forward lean is with a little shock absorber in the back. Super smart. Instead of just using plastic leaning you forward, you put a shock absorber in there. So when you do gaps, when you come off a grind, even when you're just skating, you get a little bit of shock absorption. So it's going to feel a lot better on your feet when you're skating. The problem is they mounted the frames directly into the boot. It's the same thing that they did with the Razor's Genesis, and that's why you get a little bit of flop, especially when you're riding big wheels like 80s. You could feel that movement around on the bottom of the frame. It's not going to be too bad for aggressive, but because that same material, that boot, you can squeeze the boot and you can see there's a little bit of flex around the lacing. That squeezing is the same squeezing that you're getting where the frame mounts to the boot, because there's no sole plate under there. Goes directly into the boot. Yeah, not ideal.
No.
I would hope that when they redesigned the sole plate, they had a completely flat sole, right?
Just give us something to go into.
Exactly. Yeah, because the sole plate material is going to be hard and is not going to flex. But no, they left it open like a donut, and then you just mount the frame into there, and the sole plate, wraps around the frame, but it doesn't do anything to help support and keep the responsiveness.
I mean, and what's interesting, and you're saying that, and I think about my pros on this boot, and this sole plate, the material is one of the greatest pros of this skate. It is I
loved it.
Hard and slippery, and the design of the heel, the curve back there, it changes so much. And in the front, when you're in a topsole, my first topsoles in this were my feet just flying out from me, because I did not expect to be not only zooming, but also this lack of friction, right? This lack of the point where we always stick and go falling backwards, or stick and our ankle comes off, is gone. It's not there. And so you're just like cruising. Now imagine if it were, now I think about it, if it were the whole way across, how rigid the whole skate would actually
Yep.
feel, especially in a topsole, where there are times where I have felt that
Yeah.
I could feel the flex and the movement as I
The
was
flex of the
hitting.
frame, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
It's
definitely
a
in
it's
there.
a it's a known issue. And I feel like Razors figured that out with the Genesis, which is when they released that Genesis Soul Plate, the second Soul Plate. And the Soul Plate acts as that responsive, rigid base. So the frame mounts to the boot going through the Soul Plate. You'll find like the USD Carbon, the Adapt, the Faction, like everything that has a flat boot now has a flat sole plate. So the sole plate again acts as that solid thing, but you can still use a squishier material for the boot. That, in my eyes, is the combination. And I was hoping, when I saw the Rollerblade Blank released, they teased the liner and then they teased the boots, and it was like, holy, like these look amazing, because I love the look of that skate. And the sole plate, like you said, performed super well. I was hoping that they would make some improvements to the way that it was mounting, but
So interesting.
I guess they didn't.
Interesting to say that, right? Because, right, the sole plate's amazing. We both agree 45 straps for life. Get your heel tucked. Liner, solid. Laces were trash. The laces on the liner were pure garbage.
Yeah.
And they like ripped immediately. But that's a whole nother story. I like laces because I'm an adapt skater. I'm persnickety about some laces. The cuff, I felt like,
Yeah.
although I had to suddenly get used to squeaking again. You gotta remember, I'm on a silent
Yeah.
skate, so to have a squeak, I was like, "Oh, all my clips are gonna sound like this.
Yeah.
This is terrible." Um, the
Yeah.
squeak. Besides all of that, my only like real beef with this skate is the weight. And imagine if
It is
this was
heavy.
a full slab. Oh my God, it would weigh so
Even
much.
more.
It would weigh so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, no,
I
this
don't know
skate.
why. I don't know why it's so heavy.
That is, I mean, and I was going to ask you that, like, basic construction wise, I try to think of some engineering ways to, like, reduce some of the weight in this skate, but there aren't thicker
Yeah.
places of plastic. The plastic is a uniform thickness throughout. You basically need everything you have, and it's not like the buckle's some industrial strength steel. It's aluminum,
Right.
so it's not going to weigh that much. A lot of screws,
Yeah.
sure, but, like, where do you think the
Yeah.
weight is in this skate? Is it somewhere in this heel? Is the
Yeah.
whole heel just a...
It's a great question. I think the materials that they use are heavier than materials that other skate companies use. I don't know what material they use for their boot, but I got to assume that that's contributing to it. There's a lot of unnecessary plastic inside. So if you open up the boot, you can see that their shock absorber isn't the standard flat shock absorber.
It sits
that
in
you
a
find
in
a
like a little
USD Carbon.
cutout. Yeah.
Yeah, which first of all, super strange. Why would you add additional molds? You got to assume that this is one mold for each of them, and there's a left and a right. Maybe they use the same for the left and the right. I don't know, but maybe they use the same for the left and the right. But in this, they've got what, 5 shell breaks? So what's that? 10 molds that they had to make for these individual shock absorbers. It just seems like
Plus, then
they
you
could have just made it completely flat and then not had to worry about that.
and you
Less
could
material.
use your own
you know?
shock absorber that you preferred. Like
That's
at that
right.
point, you're locked
That's
into
exactly
this
it.
shock absorber, and God forbid you lose
Yep.
it or it gets like funky, like or you don't like it.
I mean, you look at old Solomons, and all of the shock absorbers are dust now. They crumble because they've just been sitting around for 20 years. Not to say that anybody's skating those for 20 years, but who knows how long that squishy material is going to last.
Yeah, and an impact, right? Strain hardening. We're both engineers, right? You can't just
Absolutely.
constantly
Yeah.
be pressure, and think it's going to rebound and have the same elasticity.
doubt.
So just pure
No doubt.
science. So that was, I skated, I think, what was my trajectory? So I had the Valo lights, and I was really like a huge fan of the Valo lights, except for they did not use the 2 mounting system. They used like 100 screws, and so I blew out maybe like 6 or 7
Yeah.
pairs of those. Like I'd take them off to change the outer skin, and there'd be no skate inside, and I'd be like, oh my god, what have I been skating for like a
Yeah,
month?
yeah, yeah.
Like I'm gonna die out here. And so I went on a journey, much like what's happening right now. So I mean, in a minute we'll get there too. Like I'm on a journey, I'm on an exodus. I'm trying to find out what is the right next skate for me, because Adapt's made some changes that I'm not so keen on. So like, okay, I got to try some new things. But the last time I was on this journey, I skated SSMs. Right, throwback. Let's go. Time Machine. Yeah, Shima Manufacturing. I skated the I don't remember whose it was, which version it was. It wasn't Montrez because that was first, but it was like one of the other pros, maybe a Dave Lang or something like that. And I skated those for like 2 months, and I'm not gonna claim that I'm young. We're 2 years difference in age, but at that time I was like 34, maybe 33, somewhere around there. I was still pretty spry. And I have one existing knee injury. It's my left knee. I did it. Yeah, I did it in like 96. Like it's there. It has come back to hurt me so many times. But it's my gauge of when a skate is too heavy. Because if a skate's too heavy, I'll come home and this knee won't work. Like it won't do the things that knees do. I can't stand on it for stability. I can't use it for stairs or anything like that. It's just connecting my shin to my upper leg. Like that's it. It's all it does. I remember skating those and being like, oh my God, I've never felt this pain, this aching pain like this without a full-fledged injury. Like, I mean, like a real go to the hospital injury. Like this is like an everyday thing. So I tried to work out and like I did all those things to strengthen the quads. And in the end, I went right to USD carbons after that because of the weight difference. And I loved carbons. Oh my God, skated carbons from the Frankies for a while through many iterations of carbons. During this exodus, I've had the same. I went back to try the rollerblades again because I tried them back when we first got them. Shout outs to Rollerblade. Yeah. Tom, you the man, for reals, all day. Sent me a pair as well, and so I got the chance to skate them and rip through them. And Sean Keen's like my little brother, JSF. What? JSF. And so I remember early I was like, damn, I gotta like buy a knee brace. I was like, I got to do something so I can skate these. So I bought a knee brace, connected with Large on IG and was like, bro, what's that knee brace you use? Like, got a new knee brace. Started doing CBD rubs. Then started working out my quads and getting diesel. And no matter what, these skates would burn out my knee. Like, just burn it out. Like, 2 days later, I'd still be crip walking, and when I went back this last time, I've been in good shape. I've been really working out, I've been working on my body, I'm really out there. But like this time around, the same exact thing. As soon as I started skating them, I could feel it in my left knee, and that weight. It was funny. I listened to Brandon, the Kiwi. I listened to his review, and he's like, they're so heavy in my book bag. I'm like, man, you definitely 24. If you talk about the heavy, I'm like, bro, they heavy on my ACLs, man. Like, and that's like the one part. That's the one part of this skate that I think keeps it for me from being like one of the best skates that's ever come out. Like, because that Soleplate is phenomenal. That Royale groove is super steep.
It's great.
But once you learn it,
I love it. Yep.
I mean,
I like the little pocket. I think that's the thing. They don't try too hard. A lot of Soleplates give you this oversized Royale, or it's a very opinionated Royale groove. For me, I like just a little divot. The USD sways were probably my favorite Royale. It's just this nice wide Soleplate. Little divot for a Royale, the first one. The second version,
much bigger.
I think they changed. They changed the way that it looks for the positive, but they made the Royale groove much wider. And for me, when I lock on a Royale, I need again more help. A little divot keeps me locked in, and though the blanks are a little bit lower, that Royale groove is really perfect. So when I lock in, I know that I'm set, and I can just kind of. This
is a set it and forget it backside Royale. Once you hit it, you just sit down, and the skate, to its credit, is incredibly supportive. I realized that I was skating on an old pair of J-Bars when I put these on, and I was like, oh, okay. hello support. I forgot about you. I didn't know you were so influential to skating.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you don't flop at all.
Seriously.
Like this ankle is like a ski
It's
boot.
good.
It's a ski
Yeah.
boot, right? But yeah, you can.
Feels
I
like
mean,
it,
you
yeah.
can't see it, but maybe others can. I really worked this groove in to become the groove I wanted. Like this is not
Yeah.
the groove it came with. This is my groove. When you look at any of the bottom, this view of my skates, you'll see the exact same groove when I can make it, and then adapt it to that groove. I remember this is what my Valo groove looked like. Like I have a very
Yeah.
straight. I'm a very straight line person. I have no sickle. Like, you know, some people have a sickle to the
Right.
back.
Yeah, yeah.
I have none of that. I'm
Yeah.
just straight up the middle strike. Only if I hit the head pin. Like that's.
There you go.
So like, yeah, this Royale groove took a second. Even the second time I went back on these skates, I remember having the moment of like, whoa, okay, right.
Yeah.
You gotta sit. You gotta.
I think the liner has a lot to do with it too. I'm not a fan of the liners, and maybe that's me, but it feels like it's a really stiff around the top of the cuff. I think the bottom section of the liner is really good. Around the top, it feels like there's not a lot of movement. So if anything, it keeps that cuff more rigid, which, like adapts, means that you've got to lock Royale perfectly. You can't jump on like the Razor Shift, the first story I was talking about, where you jump on and you can kind of squish yourself down, and you have confidence that you don't have to bend your legs all the way. You can kind of do a lot of it with your ankles. I don't think you get to do that with the blanks, because that liner, the cuff, is so like it digs into my ankle if I don't get low enough. That's that difference.
Man.
Again, I switched over to the, what did I use skate, the RL1s maybe, or maybe the Rain V3s, one of those two, and night and day. I was able to do all of my tricks, didn't have any problems. Very soft top, very squishy,
like a jug liner.
That's the way that it should be. Yeah, exactly.
That makes
That's
total
the way
sense.
that I think it should be.
I agree with you, and I probably would have never had the words to say that. Honestly, is that I knew I had it wrong in terms of the angle because of where I would feel the liner on my ankle. Like if I had the right back Royale, I wouldn't feel it at all. It would just be smooth and easy. But if I were in the wrong angle, it's a little pinch on the outside or a little dig somewhere where I didn't expect it.
That's
and then
all your knees, man.
And then I would fall.
That's all knees.
It's
That's
all
the thing.
knees.
Yeah.
Everything is so much knees. I mean, we just talked about being in the 40s.
It is.
It's so unfair. It's so unfair. Doing that,
Nice,
44 for 44, I was like on the last tricks, and the only reason why I had to stop was because my knees were like, you're tripping. Like, we're officially gonna boycott this. Like, we're not down. We don't like it, and we're gonna shut you down right now at whatever number you're at. You're done. Okay, buddy, done. Walk home. Home.
The trick is 2 days or 2 weekends. That's the only way you're gonna do it. Anything over, I mean, it's tricks for the age that you are. So it's gonna get harder every year. And your body's not going to get better. Like, who are we kidding, right? I feel like I'm in pretty good shape. There's no way I'm going to do 47 grinds. Like, it's ridiculous. What am I thinking?
It's good to hear you say that, because I'm really just following in your modeling. So, like...
There's no shame here.
I have thought...
I left that 20 years ago, right?
I have thought... Yeah, seriously, though. For real. I have thought that so many times this year alone, after the 44, being like, but man... Can I do 50? Like, is that even going to be possible? Could I even do 50 tricks, period? Like, I don't even know if that's going to be possible at 50, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll go for it. I know that.
It's a good challenge.
I'm dumb enough to go for it. You know, when you mess up your frontal lobe a little bit, you're like, whatever. It can't hurt.
The first 10. All right.
It felt so good. It felt so good when I got to the number, or when you're editing it and you notice you get 46 and you're like, oh, snaps. All right. I didn't even expect to get 46. It is a great feeling. So I take it back. I'll follow in your lead more often, and we'll cheer each other on from the sidelines.
Yeah.
But So overall, my grade for those who are watching, shout outs to all the folks from the Slack channel that are in here right now. Troy Boy, you know I love you. Jeff Metz is in there. Sean I know Sean. I mean, Sean has one of the best stories about me. He knows. We go deep. This is a crew that's in the chat. Thank you all for joining. This has been, I mean, ultimately everything I hoped. I'm not going to lie, Lawrence. Like, we're going to do this again, obviously, because...
Yeah, man. I'm always down.
This was not it. This was not the skate. Lawrence, my journey's not over. This was not it. I love you, Sean. Mwah. But this is not it. I'm putting it down. It's not the skate for me. And we talked about this. We talked about me going on an Exodus a long time ago. And I was like, look, you have the largest library of skates in a 43. So, like, what can we do, considering I'm also a 43, to, like, share some experiences, and you send me some skates that you like, and that maybe informed how you designed the standard, because we're all waiting for the standard.
Yeah.
And so I was like, as someone who's waiting, maybe I can get a little bit of insight by getting you to send me some skates with parts that you enjoyed, right? So I can go, okay, you like this. So I'm done with those. I did the 44 for 44 in the USD 7, so we have to come back again.
Yes.
Give me another, like, 2 weeks to skate the 7s, because I really want to get in on them.
Yeah.
I looked at the Soleplate today, and I was like, oh, that's not enough wear to do a review. No, not even close. This looks brand new. Who would review this brand new? It's terrible.
I mean,
okay,
they're good Soleplates. I'll give them that. They don't wear very fast.
No, and they are very fast and flat, which I love, because I skated the carbon, so I know that Soleplate pretty well. Light, so light. You can hold like 10 of them in your hand at one time. It's so light. So I'm gonna skate the 7s for 2 more weeks. We're gonna come back. So folks that are watching know that me and Lawrence are gonna do this again, as long as he agrees to. I mean, I can't hope holding you to it, but we're hoping to do this again about the USD 7 as I journey through skates. I don't think the 7's quite it yet. Like I feel some good parts about it, and there's some parts that like I gotta settle in on and see how I truly feel about them beyond the Soleplate. And I was shocked that I could do 44 tricks in just my second session in those skates. Like that says a lot. Like that says a lot.
Yeah. To be clear, I'm a 44. So if you are a 43, we're gonna have slightly different experiences. That USD 7. The biggest, and I don't want to spoil anything, but the biggest problem with the USD 7 show, which is now the Tim Franken, which is now the God's Team Skate, is that I feel like the sizing is a little off. Technically, I think that's a 45, so you should be skating a bigger liner in there. You as a 43 should probably downsize to the one below it, in my experience, but I haven't skated that lower shell.
So when
I skated those skates, it was good, but I had fat boy liners. The big fat liner that fills out that shell, that was the only way that I could make it work.
So you are correct that I'm right between a 43 and a 44. 1 foot's a 43, 1 foot's a 44. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
But in the it really hurt for factions. That's what made my faction so hard to size properly.
Yeah.
But I did feel that in the USDs is that what I said to someone, it was like a whale's vagina. Like it was like squishy inside of this like massive like body. Like I didn't know where my foot necessarily was at first. Like it's just like in there.
I don't know if that's the apt comparison that I would make, but hey, I can see it. I'll go with it.
You know, this is life with a TBI, my friend. This is how it comes out. You're like, what does this feel like? Oh, okay. I think that's about right. If you can imagine then I think you get what I'm saying. So yeah, it was like
I am stoked to see you skating them though. I think on the journey, those were the first ones that I said this could be the best skate for me, and that was it. And then I took a few other skates that we can talk about in the future to try and refine my perfect skate, but the USD 7 was, at the time, the closest. And I think I stayed on that skate for a while.
Yeah.
The closest that I got to the perfect skate.
Okay, so I'm going to give it some more time, but what can I get excited for next? What are you going to send me next?
Looking at the wall, you know what I'll probably do is, I think the USD 7, so without spoiling too much, I think the USD 7 hits like 80% of what I wanted in my perfect skate. The big difference, aside from the fit, with the fit, you're not going to be able to really change. The biggest difference, I think, is you're going to find the sole plate being a little wide and a little, I don't know, it just feels a little cumbersome to me.
Okay.
Where the way that the heel of the sole plate, and I don't want to spoil your review, but the way that the heel of the sole plate comes out, it just feels like it's more of like a lunch tray.
Oh yeah, it's a slab.
Like it's kind of got that shadow vibe. So what I'll probably do is I think I'm going to send you the USD sways, the the original USD sways. So I got a pair of Montres here that are just begging for it. I don't know if you can pull off a white skate with red sole plates, but I'm gonna give you a challenge.
I mean, you made me learn how to wear yellow and black. So
yeah. Let me see what I can do. Yeah. I don't know. Bay Area is a little bit better. I got them over here.
Oh, these are
these
pretty.
They are beautiful. They are crazy liners. These are the high top fat boys. They're heat moldable, really great liners. But this sole plate.
Oh, I can see the difference.
Sole plate is just,
I can see how they pulled back that fin, so it's not just this, like you said, long lunch tray.
Yeah, it's really, really clean. Not aesthetically pleasing. The way that the toe kind of stops. It's kind of like why didn't you just go a little bit further? Like you had more plastic. You could have done it. They did it in the back. The back looks good.
Yeah,
like
full
just do
cup.
That in the front seems very, very strange. But it's got the 45 strap that that I like. It's got perfect sole plate. It is a raised heel, so it's not going to be that low center of gravity, that shock absorber. But from a responsiveness, from a sole plate, I think you're going to really like these.
All right, I'm excited. So yes, in a few weeks we'll talk about. I'll send you back your sevens, and we'll do the swap again. My brother, this is exactly what I was hoping for. Fun convo. Got to drop some knowledge.
Yeah.
I got to learn a ton. We got to build. For all of those who have watched live, for all those who are going to watch afterwards, thank you for joining us. We're going to do this again. If you enjoyed any part of this, please hit us up in the comments with what you liked, what you didn't like, whatever it is. We want to know. Is this style, this format, 2x2 review, is this something you're into? I don't see a lot of people doing peer reviews of skates that they've already rode, but I don't know. I thought it'd be really fun. So hit me up in the comments. Hit up my boy Lawrence. Do follow Back to Blading IG, Facebook linked up. You could get down on YouTube. Obviously, you probably already know that because you're watching me because I'm riding in his coattails today. So I don't got to say too much about my boy Lawrence. As always, thumbs up and like because it helps us float higher in the algorithms. Get your skate on because it's fun. And I would be wrong if I didn't say upgrade your gray matter. Strap it up, y'all. For real talk, man. If you're getting older and you got all these other responsibilities, you don't want to leave them on the table for someone else. You don't want to be the one who can't be there for milestones in your kids' lives. Do the right thing. Save yourself a lot of trouble. Trust me, an enormous hospital bill. Strap it up, y'all. Until we get back together, peace. Catch y'all later.